What's up? What's up? Hey Ned, what's up? How you doing? All right, welcome everybody. Welcome. Hey Perez, how you doing? Alrighty, let's get to it. So, hey corpse. Right, so we formed a support here in London. Looking at the 4-hour, you can see that we are moving back up to these highs we created on Friday. So, of course, we are trending bullish for the time being, and then I like to have a look at the DXY to just build some confluence. Generally speaking, dollar and gold will correlate relatively well, but with something like this Israel story, now we have a FUD, a FUD catalyst, so spreading fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And when we have something like that, you can see both gold and the dollar both moving up together. So, if that's the case, it's not the greatest correlation at that point, because like I say, they can both be moving up together. But here, what we can see, escalations, there have been no new escalations as of yet. Otherwise, we would have probably seen gold continuing to just rally and rally. Although, we still are remaining bullish. But it looks like dollar is, a bit softer today, breaking below the support. So if the dollar is weaker, it just makes sense to continue to ride this bullish trend here on gold. One thing is, we are basically in a range here, and we are moving up to the top of this range. So if you're wanting to take trades within this range between 1930, 1932, and let's call it 1910, this zone right here is going to be the best zone to be buying off of. So if we could come back down into this zone, even come lower, grabbing some liquidity from 1905 to 1900 odd, that would be great. But if we've got this momentum to the upside, then we just have to scale in and see if we can ride the wave. We've also got this structure right here, which you could consider like secondary structure, which makes sense to possibly see a pull back into on the new 4-hour as a bottom wick, and then see if we can continue to move bullish. 1930, if we look to the left, if we look a little bit further to the left, we can see is a very strong zone. So this is another idea here today. We can see right here this 1930s zone, 1928 to 1930. We had a lot of rejections there, more rejections before we sold off. So that's not to say that I just want to sell from resistance. I don't think that's a very I don't think that's a very good approach for current market conditions, but we'll see how the session unfolds. Keeping in mind this is a strong rejection zone. If we have some good data for the dollar now in 9 minutes, we could see some rejections off of here, maybe even take advantage of some short-term downside in this range. Now, I did mention already that price is just on the 4-hour time frame here in a range. So if you are wanting to trade this range and you're wanting to take sells, it definitely makes more sense to be trying your luck from the highs of this range rather than selling like somewhere in the middle of the range. So we'll see how price reacts here between 1928 and 1930. But I think for now, bars make a little bit more sense. So let's see what COMEX does. That was COMEX now. Looks like we've pushed up into the zone, creating a high. And like I say, if you're wanting to take sells in this range, let me just remove this. It makes sense to be taking sells up here rather than in the middle of the range. This just gives you more range to take advantage to the downside. But like I say, let's just wait and see how the price action unfolds. I think taking sells, with the way things are looking right now, is going to be challenging. If we get some good retail sales and then price is still hanging around this 1930 zone and seeing rejections here, then we can give it a shot. Understanding that, if we're taking sells of 1930, let's say, we're not necessarily coming to target the lows of this range, but maybe just looking to target this most recent structure or targeting 1920, because what you could see is that news gives you a pullback and you just continue to move bullish. So that's the risk there with the sells. Overall, more bullish here. It is tough to be buying into this area, so either I would like to see pullbacks to, let's say, 1920, which then gives you some range to trade back up into 1930. You get the idea. Obviously, if we're pulling back into the lows of this range, 1915, 1910, like I say, that's an area of interest there for buyers. And then above 1930, that should be quite straightforward. If we break above 1930, then we can be looking for just some sort of break above and retest to continue to move up to 1935, 1940, so forth. Yesterday's daily candle did close bearish. It looks funky with that no top wick. One bearish daily candle is not too telling in this scenario. You can see here we had a bearish daily on Thursday last week, and the next day we moved up 600 pips. So this is not really like a convincing rejection candle or anything. But like I say, if we are rejecting 1930, we can possibly see this daily coming back down to the open at 1920, maybe even down to the lows around 1912. News in 4 minutes, 3 minutes. So this looks like a rejection here at COMEX. The news could easily still break through the zone if the news is really bad. Oh, sorry, chat. I was up the whole night last night coughing. I don't know what's up with me. But like I said, if that news is good, we come back up into this high. We respect that high, or let's say we even do get a fake out just tapping 1930, but still showing signs of rejection here. With good news for the dollar, we can give the sells a shot. Looking for some confirmation on the 5 minutes. Quarter banger in London. Nice. Yeah, gold has been moving up nicely there. I think if that news is good, these will most probably be the highs for the session, and we'll come back down in this range. Is there anything else on the cards for today? Just some minor news before NYC, FOMC speaker before NYC. When is the next FOMC event? November. I think Nico caught that same banger as you, Ned. Okay, so there we go. We got some probably good news by the looks of things. Yeah, numbers look pretty good there for the retail sales for the dollar. So, already pushing down into 1920. I don't want to mess around too much now. with the news. We could easily reject 1920, come back up, create a top wick for this candle, and then if we come back up into the zone and reject again, we could look for those sells. Otherwise, if this move here with the news brings us all the way into 1915, 1917, and we are seeing price action give signs of rejection, we could maybe start looking for buys for this zone. Hope you secured some profit there, Ned. I know Nico's TP was at 1927. Because he sent me a screenshot when it pushed up here to 1926.7, let's say. It's like 3 pips from his TP. $100 pips, Mr. Ned. Easy. Very nice. So it looks like with that news, you know, we've clearly had rejections here. Might just be a rangey session. We'll just see what sets up. You know this little emoji down here on the chat? Yeah, I can't see what you gave there. Just says I just gave something. I just gave half. Oh no, Ned. Dirty, eh? Leave that one alone. So now it's looking more like we had a bit of a consolidation, a little bit of a pullback here, and that news has brought some volume to the dollar to possibly see a move back up into these highs at 106.7. So I mean, when I look at TXY, it's something you could use if you're trading any dollar pair. So for instance, GU, we can see here GU was more bearish, the structure is bearish, just like with the DXY being more bullish. And just looking at price, we are ranging here, but it looks like we'll continue to move bearish. Maybe if you get breaks below here, now you can then just look for the moves into like 102.5. Always secure some profits when trailing stop loss. Yeah, I don't love to trail my stops, but it's also, I guess, just the way I trade. But if I'm moving my stop loss to break even, I would like to secure something. Very rarely will I move stops to break even without securing anything. I think with trailing stops, it depends how you look at it. I think with trailing stops, it's a very powerful tool with something like swing trading. Then you can start to use like 30-minute structure or 15-minute structure to trail your stops like this. So you can see here, I don't know, let's just use this as an example. Let's say you took the bars of 1915. I don't know where you would have entered. Let's just say you got in here on this bullish candle. Just for an example. And then let's say you were looking to come to 1930. So here you can see, you came into a little bit of drawdown, pushed up. Then you kind of consolidated on the 15-minute. And at London Open, you had a nice push up. So this is now some sort of structure on the 15-minute. You can see that prices essentially respected this resistance and formed a support on the 15. If you go down to a 5, you'll see that structure a little bit better. So your stop was below 1914, let's say. Now you could move your stop to below this lower time frame structure. And then as we continue to move up, creating new structure on the 15-minute, because you don't really want to use like 1-minute structure to be trailing your stop unless you're trading in a time of high volume like New York session, which I'll touch on an example as well, something that you could look at. But yeah, as we're moving up, you created a bit more structure. At this point now, as we saw that continuation up, you can move your stop here into some profit. But you're not frantically trailing your stop every 2 minutes. Otherwise, you are strangling your position. But in a time like New York, we've got a bit more volume, and you're kind of expecting heavy moves. There you can start to trail your stop a bit more aggressively. So for instance, so this is a 5-minute time frame. You had this pullback on Friday, formed a support here just before NYC. NYC came back into the support, forming like a double bottom. So let's say maybe, let's just say you got in on this candle. Okay, you would have had a pretty big stop. But let's say you got in on this candle here. Most logical stop is below this structure. And then now, you can see you came into a little bit of drawdown as price starts to push up and creates new structure. So this is like new structure here. You've had a break and retest of this resistance. You formed a new low right here, which you would like to see being respected. So there you could trail your stop. And then maybe if you want to be more aggressive with it, as we see like the next push, so that maybe this bullish 5 minute, you know, you can see that the previous 5 here had a nice bottom wick. You could trail your stop even more. Then as we break above that bullish 5 minute, stops to break even, and so on. Like I say, you don't want to move it frantically. You don't want to move it every 2 minutes because you're scared to give up profit. Because then you will give up profit. When you chase, it runs. So I would like to see us coming back into this zone for some more aggressive sells. I don't necessarily want to be jumping into the bars here just yet. And if we don't come back up into the zone and reject, then I'll just wait for the 4-hour candle to close. You know, in this situation, you'll see that this news candle has no top wick. It's not always a concern with news, but look how much we've pulled back already. We've pulled back more than 50% of this candle. You know, chances are we'll come up at least into 1926, 1927. You know, there's a pretty high probability we'll come back and get a top wick on this 15. On the new 15, come back. And keep in mind, this could just be a liquidity grab to continue moving bullish. But with that positive news for the dollar, I don't really want to be buying into this zone. You do have range, but it's tough. It's too early to say. I would rather wait for the 4-hour. Man's drinking a cheap energy drink from the garage. What do you mean? The monster. It's like $1. No, fuck, I don't drink that shit. Cheap energy drinks are scams. You see what they do with like energy drinks like Score, and I don't know, there's a whole host of energy drinks now, and there's there's so many that just come up, and they are dirt cheap. They are dirt cheap. When I was working at the factory, doing my electrical apprenticeship, those guys were hooked to these strings. And if you've ever had a score, I don't know, if you really think about it, you can tell that it has more caffeine than a Monster, for instance, or a Red Bull. It gives you the jitters, right? So, they're not regulated or anything. They will say on their label, yeah, they have 150 milligrams of caffeine, but they've probably loaded it up with like at least double. And caffeine is a stimulant, so these guys get hooked and it's cheap, so they just keep buying them. Score and Grandpa is a combo. Jesus. No, Cook, yeah, I'm worried about you, bro. You should go for a checkup on your heart. That is really not good. Load it up with speed. I think if you're gonna do Score and Grandpa, you may as well just do speed. No, stay away. And why did you have to do that, Nid? Thing made you feel shit. It's also stimulants. Too much stimulants is not good for you. Messes with your heart. Careful with that stuff. We're seeing something very similar to yesterday. Yesterday you had a push up before the news. News came out, you had a drop. Yeah, we had a drop with the news, and then so this was kind of like, you had this bullish volume, and then you had a reversal of that bullish volume. Yeah, you had bearish volume, and you had a reversal of that bearish volume. It's like an inverse of yesterday's move. And the idea of yesterday was to come back to the structure here and push up, just like today. Come back up into the structure, reject, continue moving bearish in this range. Ephedrine, what is ephedrine? Don't they use ephedrine to make meth? I don't touch fat burners. Yeah, I don't like that stuff. Banned on the sports list. Crazy. Okay, so we've come up, created a top wick there for the 30 minutes. That previous 15 was bearish. It's tricky. You know, with the way this 30 minutes stands, it looks like you've just grabbed liquidity to continue moving bullish. But like I say, this 1930 zone is strong. And we did have good numbers there for the dollar. If there's no escalations for the war, then, you know, this war story, things get priced in relatively quickly. So I don't want to get stuck on the idea of the buys. If we respect 1930, I can still bang the sells. Last 10 minutes of the 4 hour. Don't rush into sells, whatever you do. Because we may just blast through 1930 and then I'm out. But that's where patience will pay. You know, if you can wait and see those rejections, get some nice confirmation candles. Maybe we see if we can get better timing, wait for the 4 hour to close, wait for NYC. Tap 1928. Let's see what the 1 minute is doing. I would actually like us to tap 1930. The way price loves these psychological levels when there's volume. And before, or sometimes, you know, the way price loves to just tap these levels in order to grab liquidity. I would love to see 1930 being tapped. You can see how we respected 1920 here beautifully. I was having a look at this before the session. While price was in this range, you know, you could see price was more bearish, and you had like a resistance zone here, same sort of area, but that 1930s kind of what was wanting to be like tapped there, and he started to sell off here, even created new lows. But price loves those levels, and we came all the way back, and then look, it did it again. Here you were moving bearish, formed new lows, pulled all the way back, just shy of 1930. Five-minute no top wick. Last 5 of the 4 hour. Nah. Just gonna wait here for the 4 hour close. Hey, Prophet, how are we doing? This flavor is bomb. Ultraviolet. Yeah, I'm good, Prophet. Good. So 4 hours closing bullish. You know, it's tricky here. It's tricky because we're closing bullish on the 4 hour, which obviously makes sense then to look for buys. But this zone, if we're closing bullish below this zone, below 1930, it's very tough. We can still come up and respect that 1930 zone. You can see here all of these rejections closing below this zone. Even here where you looked like you were closing above all these bodies, but you were still below that 1930, you rejected again, pulled back a little bit deeper, and once this 4 hour closed bullish above 1930, you were a little bit safer there for the buyers. So I'm still on board unless we get breaks above 1930. Still on board for the sales, even though this 4 hour is bullish. Have you tried the watermelon? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of watermelon flavors. Like, they taste very artificial. I think out of these zero sugar ones, I like this ultraviolet, and I like the mango one. And there's also now a Lewis Hamilton sugar free, which is good. Obviously, it's Lewis Hamilton. Our candle closing here. 15 closed bullish, but below this resistance. 30-minute was bearish with a wick to fill to the downside. It's still tough, If you're looking at this from a different perspective, you could say that we've closed above this resistance, have we? Yeah, just. And that this is clean traffic up to here, but like I say, that 1930 is a a monster key level. I'd like to see if we can just, like I say, I would love to see us tap into 1930. But let's see at least this first 5 minutes of the 4 hour, what it can tell us. I'm gonna come back now, guys. Seems like as I left, price gave a bit of a drop here. So this 5 minutes has 1 more minute left until it closes, looking like a nice strong bearish candle close. And if we can close below 1925, next 5 minutes I just want to see create a nice top wick and then take the sells on the break of the lows. I don't want stops to get too big here. What do you put stops? I need to see that top wick on this 5 minute candle. Gold just said no. Gold said no. Broke the previous 15 minute low Makes sense there to then get the wick fill here. Stops are just pretty big. I'd rather wait and see if this 5 can still give a top wick. Even if I still have a stop loss that's relatively big, if this 5 could just give me a top wick, it at least gives me options to manage my risk. Because if we give a top wick on this 5, come back and re-break the low, then you don't want to see that high of this the 5 minute being broken. So let's say that's the top wick of the 5. You know, once you can come back down, break the lows with this volume, you could even have your stop loss there. I would like a safer stop, but that just gives me options to manage the drawdown. What's up, Breezy? So we're pulling back there. You know, and that's why when candles have no top wicks, you know, we just be a little bit more careful. From time to time, it's going to make sense, but I think with that previous push to get in on the break of that low, you needed a top wick. So we're pulling back into 25 here. Let's see if we respect this 1925. Pretty rangy. You know, this price action doesn't look great. Doesn't look great. Obviously, I'm just going out from a zoomed perspective here of this being quite a critical zone around 1930. Had that positive news for the dollar, so it makes sense for us to possibly just range in this session a little bit. So this is a setup that I quite like on the 5 minutes, where you've got a strong bearish candle, weak bullish candle, next candle breaks the low. So that's something that I could risk it for. Stops below that 1925 level. Yeah, so once we break that previous 5-minute low, I'll be in here. So just going back to the 15 minutes, first target here is this wick fill. I'm going to just say 1920. And then final TP is going to be 1915. If we don't break that previous 5-minute low, no trade. $15-minute candle closing bearish. You know, these candles are just printing side by side. But there's enough information to tell you that we are rejecting this resistance zone. You just have to be patient for entries. New 15 could give you a nasty top wick. NYC could even be the play that gives you the retest of 1930 before we see this drop. Okay, so 15 closed engulfing the previous bullish 15. So I think the idea is still valid here. If we break the previous 15-minute low, we're anticipating that wick fill at least. Look at that. It's ready. if we are breaking back above 1925, right, then I'll probably have to wait for NYC here. Because the whole idea with this sort of setup is that we see that bearish volume, price pauses. Once you break the low, you get a continuation of that volume. So this is showing me right now that that volume isn't there for that setup. I mean, 15-minute is still valid. Like I say, once you break that low, you can anticipate the wick fall, but it is choppy, you know. If that volume's not there, I'd rather wait. Because a lower time frame, we're just ranging here. I think that we could easily see that 1930 before we get the sell-off. And yeah, there's like 50 pips moving up to 1930, but I'm not messing with it. I'll take buys if we get breaks above 1930. Okay, this looks like it could be a top wick for the 15-minute. In minutes to NYC. So I've still got this order set, but if we break that that previous 5-minute high, I'll delete this order, wait for NYC. It doesn't look great on the 5-minute. Yeah, just wait for NYC. If we are breaking back above 25 here, you know, we can see price come up to 1930. I mean, we've seen rejections here already. I don't want to trade into this range. Yeah, we had some more news just now, about 8 minutes ago, and we've got a speaker now. So that news was good there for the dollar. But yeah, this speaker is probably still going on. I don't think that's going to be very high impact. But generally, when an FOMC member is speaking, the markets listen. So, you know, once that's settled down, things should clear up here. Respecting that 1925. You know what, chat? This is a rejection of 1925. I'm gonna go in here with pretty low risk. Stops are gonna be a lot smaller. So yeah, low risk, smaller stops. So I'm taking this as the rejection of 1925. Stops, let's say 1926 for now. Like I say, looking for that wick fill on the 15 minute. 15's flipping back bearish. So I've gone in here with lower risk because, like I said, NYC is coming up in 3 minutes. So anything can happen. Timing is not amazing, but I like what I see with the rejections of 25 here. The 15 minute, how previous 15 was engulfing. Keep in mind this is a strong rejection zone around 1930. So we've seen rejections there. We had good news for the dollar. We've got this wick to fill down to about 1920, which gives you enough range to consider it valid. Stops are about 20 pips. I would like to see this previous 15-minute low being broken before NYC. There's 2 minutes. That'd be really nice. Once that previous 15-minute low gets broken, the wick fill, there's a very high probability then of that wick fill to 1920. In fact, with like more aggressive management, you could even go break even on that wick fill now because we've got a better entry. Not a bad idea. Hey, what's up, Iris? Good, thanks, in yourself? NYC, let's see. A minute to go. Need to be very careful here with NYC. Let's go into a 1 minute to see what's going on here. Okay, this is NYC. Okay, so chat, I'm gonna go break even here. We've broken that low. NYC's got no top wick. So I'm going to secure 50% as well. It's about 20 pips. Yeah. Okay, I'm only securing here. Jeez. Got another, what? Another 10 pips, 7 pips. Yeah, chat. No top wick on that NYC candle, be careful. Stop loss at break even. Secured about 28 pips there. Closed here at 21.8. 0.18. 21.8. 26 pips, not bad. Let's see what the runners can do. No top wick on this 30-minute candle. Don't be surprised if we don't get one. This right here was a form of grabbing liquidity to move bearish in the session. So once you've got enough liquidity, that's kind of when your candles will start forming no top wicks. So if you've had a nice pullback on your previous candles, then you know that you don't necessarily need much of a top wick. Look here, yesterday we consolidated, right? This candle right here created quite a steep top wick, grabbing a lot of liquidity. Next 30-minute close below that consolidation. And because you had grabbed all that liquidity already, this 30-minute here, no top wick, and you just dropped. You know, that's the kind of thing you see on gold. It's difficult to put into words. Candles with no top wicks and bottom wicks, you do want to be careful of them. But try see how they act in terms of volume. You know, yesterday that 15 that I executed on for those bars had no top wick, but it still gave a nice push there. Could have managed a bit better. Went into about 20 pips profit, came back to entry. But if that volume is there, it can still give you a nice push. But I think I've got my piece of the pie here. We'll probably get stopped out. Looks like we're going to get that top wick for the NYC candle. Maybe that's the top wick. Come on, baby. Oh, we look okay. We might just survive this. If this NYC candle's closing nice and bearish like that, next 5 minutes I'm anticipating to continue moving bearish here into 1920 at least. It's going over there, then to there. What? Yeah, choppy session, but you know, I got my piece of the pie here. Probably just let this baby run. 1920 is definitely a level I want to take a bit more profit off of. 1915, obviously, if you're planning long term in this range, makes sense to come down to 1915, but I don't want to be trying to hit home runs on sells, considering the bigger picture is more bullish. I mean, we can see the nice moves we've had off 1930 before, but overall we are pretty bullish at the moment. So if these runners survive and we get to 1920, I'll leave a very small position to 1915. Nothing more than that. But that's gonna be my day here. Maybe I'll wait and see how this 5 minute closes, see if we survive. I'm in at 23.72. It's very close. Very close. Okay, I'm out. Okay, chat. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much. Take it easy, everybody. Ugly price section, yeah. It's very ugly. Once again, just keep an eye out for headlines with the news and so forth. With the war situation, you know, if there are flare-ups with the conflict, don't be surprised if we do get massive moves to the upside, but don't chase anything. Things are still pretty volatile here. Cheers, everyone.